recently my friend Chris sent me some books just out of the kindness of his heart, and it kind of sparked a little idea in my brain. I was like, wait a second, I kind of want to start a series on my channel where some of my friends pick my books for me and see if they are correct in predicting that I'm going to enjoy these. So kicking this series off, we have my friend Chris over on Phantom of the Library. If you're not familiar with him, definitely go check out his page and follow him. He reviews a lot of literary fiction books. That's primarily his thing. A lot of translated fiction, Asian books. But he also reads a lot of horror. He has dabbled in extreme horror. His taste, we have kind of similar but different tastes at the same time. So if I really like a sad girl, like depression book, he's guaranteed to like it. But he also likes a lot of intellectual, kind of like books where you have to pick apart some deeper meanings and themes. And he's a lot better at analyzing literature than me. So sometimes he will really love a book and then I try to read it and I'm like, Chris, what the hell is this? So our tastes are kind of similar but kind of different. And I think our taste in horror is pretty similar too. Like we do like a lot of the same horror books, but in this video he did pick 4 Asian lit fic books that he wants me to read, and then I asked him to film a video for me kind of explaining why he picked these books and predicting my rating, and then we'll see throughout the vlog if my feelings match up. So here is Chris's video.
Hi Meg, hi YouTube, hi everyone. So I recently gifted Meg 4 books. I figured they're books that she might like, maybe she won't, but I figured she's always looking for sad girl books and just like dark, depressing, bleak stories, and these are ones that I thought she could maybe enjoy, and I read them and I enjoyed them. So yeah, she asked me to make a little introduction about each of the 4 books, what I predict her rating will be, and yeah, I'll also tell you what my rating is for each of the books too. So let's get started. So book number 1 is The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. I gave this book a 4.5. It chronicles a woman who is a death Dahlia. Basically, she helps
doula,
people
Chris,
who are dying to their death and make sure that they're comfortable. And in her own personal life, she has a hard time dealing with people and engaging with people, interacting with them, relating. And she's never really been in a relationship before. She doesn't really have any friends. And the book is a very deep look at death, various kinds of death, and I just thought it was a beautiful book in general. It's definitely a tearjerker. It made me cry. I gave it a 4.5 because it does kind of fit a rom-com template model. It goes against this, like the expectations you have of a rom-com, but there are a couple things here and there that are a little tropey, and it doesn't talk about like suicide or things like that. So the depth of which it talks about death is a little limited, but I think The Collected Regrets of Clover is a great book. So I think Meg is going to like The Collected Regrets of Clover. I think she's going to give it a 4. I would be surprised if she gives it a 4.5 or more than a 4 because it doesn't end in a depressing, bleak, dark way. You can definitely read this book knowing it has dark topics and themes, but it's not going to end bleak. So I think for that reason she's not going to love it, but I think she's going to enjoy the path leading up to the conclusion. And next we have The Vegetarian by Hong Kong. I gave this a 3.75. I would consider this to be the most just dark, depressing, bleak book I've read so far. It really got to me when I read it a couple of years ago. I don't actually think Meg is going to like this book very much because it's a little, I don't want to say intellectual, but it definitely has a lot of hidden meaning behind it, and I think that it does require a little bit of brain power. No offense, Meg. Maybe a little offense intended, but like, yeah, it requires a little bit of thinking involved, but I think it's easy enough to understand overall. I do think some parts are very difficult to get through, either because like the pacing is off, the tone is off, especially the second story, but I think the third story where we're talking specifically about the mental health of this patient, of the woman who is the vegetarian, I think Meg will really enjoy that, and I think she'll give the book a 3 or 3.5. So next up we have Ghost Music by Anu. I gifted Meg this book because I've noticed that she does seem to enjoy some stories that have a light magical realism aspect to it. Ghost Music is predominantly a contemporary literary fiction novel. However, there is an element of some magical realism spruced throughout, only in a few pages to be quite honest, but I feel like it's just a very quiet, contemplative novel talking about a woman's journey of self-discovery, and I think that's a story that Meg should be able to understand and relate to, and I think she'll be able to appreciate just the quiet nature of the book. You know, if you just need a moment away from just like the bullshit of life, I feel like Ghost Music is a great book just to dive into. I gave it a 5-star. I think Meg will enjoy it for sure. She might get confused by like the mushroom magical realism stuff, but like, get over it, girl. I would say she'll give it a 4 or maybe a 4.5. And last but not least, Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I just finished reading this book, if you saw my previous story here on Close Friends. I give it a 5-star still. I didn't like it as much the second time around, although I still really loved it. I think Meg will appreciate this because this is the one, well, all of these are sad girl books, really, but I think this one, I think, is just the most pure. I think it also has just a lot of other things that are being said throughout it. It talks a lot about trauma, healing, just relationships, bonding, found family. I think that even though this book is very firmly sad girl, I feel like it also just has so many other things to it that just make it so much more of an enriching experience. And I think the ending also is one that I think can be discussed at great length. I think there's so many ways to interpret it. I think this book is just brilliantly written, so sad, it's made me cry both times I read it. For me, a 5. I think Meg will give this a 5-star too. I predict a 5-star for her reading Watch Over Me.
Okay, so there we have it. Those are the 4 books that I'm going to be reading throughout this vlog, and then we will chit chat and see if my feelings match up to Chris's predictions. Also, thank you, Chris, I love you, and thank you for dragging me. So I started reading Ghost Music, and I got about 32, 33 pages into this book. So basically we're just following this Asian woman and her husband. So basically this woman is a piano teacher, and you know, her whole life she basically just put all of her energy into playing piano, and she got to a point where she was just like, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, I don't have any other skills or talents. Like, all I know is how to play piano, and that's like kind of what her parents pushed her into doing. And so she just became a piano teacher and made a life out of it, and is married. She's been married to her husband for 3 years now, and they just moved into a house, and their her mother-in-law moved in with them, so the husband's mom, obviously. So the 3 of them are living together, and you know, she has been wanting to have a child, and she keeps bringing it up to her husband like, hey, like, it's time now, I'm 30, you know, I really think that we should have a child. And he just kind of keeps blowing it off, and he's like, I don't have time for that, but like, I have to work, you know, why do you keep bringing this up? Kind of just like gaslighting her a little bit. And so she is realizing that she basically gave up like all of her dreams and, you know, all of her aspirations in life to live at home with her husband and, you know, play piano, basically. And now all of these mushrooms start being delivered to the house, like just mysterious boxes of mushrooms. And she's having some like dreams about mushrooms. I don't really know what's going on. It's like this magical realism aspect with the mushrooms, but I mean, it's okay so far. I don't really have an opinion either way. I think the writing is fine. It's pretty short. Like, there's not a lot of words per page, so hopefully this will be a quick read. I do like so far the exploration of this couple and their dynamic, and getting to know him and his mom a little bit more. And like, there were some things that happened in their family, and then we're getting to know our main character and how she was brought up and what her values are and how she's feeling about, you know, just her life in general. And it's supposed to be a book about grief, so we'll see. I don't know where this is gonna go. I have no idea. I have no expectations, so it's okay so far. I'm liking it so far. So we'll see where this goes. Day. I'm about 50% through Ghost Music. I don't know where the book is. I think it's in the living room. But I'm about 50% through, and like, I don't know how I feel about it. It's a little, I don't know. It's like I enjoy learning about this character and like the things that are going on with her husband. I won't give anything away, but learning about her like home life and her feelings and emotions, just processing her situations going on and just her day-to-day life. And I do enjoy that, but at the same time, I don't feel super connected to this main character. I don't really feel like it's relatable so far. I don't know. And I'm someone where I need to relate to the main character in order to like love the book. That's just how my brain works. That's how my emotions work. Like, I just need it. I need to pull something relatable from it. And so far I'm kind of like, There's a lot of chapters of just her like playing piano, and like there's this piano aspect to the book, which I'm not a big fan of. I find those parts to be quite boring. And the magical realism aspect of it, it's not super prominent. It's like here and there where you don't know like what's real and what's a dream. Will we ever get answers to those things? My guess is probably not, but we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, mostly it's like a lit fic, just character study, pretty much, is how I feel so far. So like, it's okay. I'm not obsessed. I'm not hating it. But there is one thing that I do hate, and it's the fact that she writes the words mother-in-law on every page. Every time she's talking about her mother-in-law, she's like, my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law. Like, oh my God, shut up, okay? So that's how I'm feeling so far. My guess, my prediction at the 50% mark is this will probably be 3 stars, but we'll see. Hi babes, if I look like a mess, it's because I was up all night long. Justin is sick, so he was up all night long. I feel like I'm getting sick now, so yay, that's fun. Living with people who are sick is very fun. So real quick, this video should be interesting. I finished Ghost Music just now, and okay, so at the 50% mark, I said this is probably going to be 3 stars. I ended up really liking where this went around the 50% mark. I was really invested just like in her life and how she is, you know, sad and experiencing loneliness, and it has this like grief aspect to it, and there are some things that happened in this character's life that I was invested in, and I liked the characters and learning about what was going on in like the real life aspects, right? And then this book just kind of got more and more bizarre and weird with unanswered questions. It was confusing. So I don't know, at the 50% mark, I was kind of like, I think I'm gonna end up, you know, really liking this because I was invested. And then it just kind of got to the point where I just didn't care anymore because I was bored and confused. So I don't really know how to rate this. I think, you know, I like the actual storyline of how she is kind of figuring out her life and kind of reinventing herself almost and taking leaps to better herself, and that's kind of the undertone of this book. The magical realism aspect wasn't super prominent throughout the book, but it was enough to annoy me. I'm not a magical realism person. There are some books that have a touch of magical realism that I like the Book of X, for example, but I felt like I loved that book so much because I could relate to the main character and, you know, her body dysmorphia and like her medical gaslighting and the depression and the issues that were going on with her. And, you know, Mona Awad's All's Well. I'm not a Mona Awad person because of the magical realism elements, but I did enjoy like the chronic pain rep and aspects of that book. And even like Chandler Morrison's books, Along the Path of Torment and Until the Sun specifically, have a little bit of a magical realism element to them, I would say. And like, I love those books. Like, I have to really resonate with the main character or the plot of what is going on in order to enjoy those magical realism elements, where this one, I just didn't feel all that connected to the main character. And also, I just kind of felt like this was almost doing too much, but also not enough. Like, it was doing too much with like the mushrooms and the piano, and like, it just felt unnecessary almost. Like, I'm confused as to what the point of this book was with those aspects. I don't know. It's like, the more that I talk about it, the more that I didn't like this book. But I did like some aspects of it. I'm thinking like 3 stars, 2.5. I don't know, right down the middle maybe. Yeah, Chris thought that I would really love this one. He was wrong. So I'm going to, like, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but he thinks I'm really going to hate The Vegetarian. I'm like scared to start the one, and now I'm starting to feel sick, so I'm like, fuck. I don't know when this vlog will be continued or finished, depending how I'm feeling, but regardless, I am at work right now, so I'm gonna try to get through my work day, and then I don't know what I want to start next. I have no idea. I'm just gonna wing it. Is Chris trying to do to me? I mean that in the best way possible, because I started The Collective Regrets of Clover and I am so obsessed with this book to the point where, like, I firmly believe that this is a 5-star book on page 58. I love this so much. So we are following a death doula named Clover. So basically she spends the last moments of people's lives as they are dying to make sure that they're not alone, that they pass away peacefully, you know, and basically is just there to comfort them. And, you know, we start to learn about our main character. She's in her 30s and she lives alone. She's a loner. She doesn't have any friends. Her only friend is her elderly neighbor. And, you know, we start learning about how her parents passed away in the 1st grade. I was in the 1st grade when my mom passed away. And so I felt like that was very relatable, and the story that she told about that. And she was raised by her grandfather, so we get to know, you know, about her grandfather who has passed. And, you know, she was living with her grandfather her entire life, and after he passed, she's been living in the apartment alone, and her elderly neighbor was friends with her grandfather. So she's like, that's literally my only friend, the elderly neighbor. And she just, you're following her day-to-day life and how she interacts with people and how she views people and the world, being this death doula, and how she's like, I would rather be alone, that way people can't leave me, that way I won't get hurt. It's better to just isolate myself and protect myself, because, you know, everyone dies or leaves you heartbroken in some sort of way, or leaves you in some sort of way. And, you know, you're just learning about her inner dialogue, and this is so beautifully written, and the stories that she tells about some of the people that she, you know, sat with as they passed away, and she keeps these journals of people's regrets that they had, you know, that they confessed to her before they passed away, and some of the things that they wish they would have done. And she literally does some of those things on the list. Like this one woman said, I wish I would have eaten more mangoes when I was alive because I just realized that like how good they are before I passed away, or whatever, before I'm going to pass away. And so she will go out to the market and like eat mangoes in her honor. And like just some of the things that happen in this book are just so, I don't know, it really puts death and dying into perspective, and it really makes you kind of think about your own life and how you live. And I absolutely love this so far. It is so beautifully written. I've cried 4 times already, like actual like tears came out of my eyes 4 times, and I'm only on page 58. And I know Chris said that this is kind of like a rom-com, kind of cheesy at the end sort of thing, and so he was like, I'm not sure if you're gonna like this, but honestly, so far, like the writing is so beautiful. This book is so beautifully done. It's making me think, it's making me question, it's making me feel. So it's like, I don't even care if it goes a cheesy route, I don't think, because I don't think that's going to take away from the fact that this book is a very powerful and meaningful read for me so far. I pretty much knew chapter 1 that I was going to love this. Like, I truly, truly love this. I don't want to do anything but read this book all day today, but I have some things to do. I have some cleaning to do, and we are going to the zoo. We're taking Justin's niece to the zoo today, and then we might do some other things. So, yeah, I have to go be social, but all I want to do is lay down with this book. Like, I truly love this so much. I'm predicting a 5-star for me so far. So, we'll see. We'll see where this goes, but I love this so much. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Snow is looking at me like I am a crazy person, and that's because I am. All the time, I just dream of sleeping. Like, I just dream of sleeping 24 hours a day. Anyways, I have hair up my nose. I constantly have dog hair up my nose. Books, books, books. It's Tuesday morning. I'm officially on page 175 of this book. It's kind of taking me a little bit to read, but this is like 60% through, so more than halfway, and I'm still really loving it. It did kind of, I don't know, it does kind of feel like like parts of it feel like a cheesy rom-com, like what Chris said, and I can definitely see that. Like he said that about the end, but there are parts of this book that feel like a rom-com, but I'm still just really loving the overall picture and the overall grief aspect and the quotes and the insight, and you know, we're just following this woman as she, you know, navigates life, and she feels so relatable. Listen, she's just like me for real. Because she is very introverted and awkward and has social anxiety and is lonely and like is afraid of people, and now she's like stuck in these situations where she has to talk to people and make friends, and we're just following her trying to navigate all of that. So we not only have the commentary about what it's like being you know, lonely and socially awkward and having anxiety about talking to people. So we're not only following that aspect, but then we're also following, you know, the commentary about grief and loss. And I just genuinely love all the characters in this book. I love our main character. I love her neighbor. I love all of the other people involved in this book now. And, you know, even though it does feel a little bit cheesy here and there, I still really, really love this. And I think this is one that I can recommend to like a wide audience. It feels like if you like books like Tuesdays with Morrie, I don't know, that one just comes to mind for some reason because it kind of has a similar vibe. I think you'll like this one. Like, this pertains to a wider audience than like a lot of the other books that I read. So I'm definitely loving this so far. I'm living, laughing, loving. Guys, I'm trying so hard to finish this book and I can't stop fucking crying. Okay, so I just realized that I read this entire book without updating you. So that tracks because I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. This book was beautiful. The writing was incredible. I loved the main character. It was just very, very beautiful. Really puts death and dying into perspective. Had so many beautiful, amazing quotes. It really makes me so more interested in death work, and I loved where this book went. And like, yeah, you know, it is a little bit cheesy here and there, but I think that was necessary in order to create a plot that we cared about and like create a sense of hopefulness, I guess, like rather than making it super dark and bleak and disturbing, like, you know, it did have this hopefulness to it, and it was sad. There were parts where I was hysterically crying, but I really ended up liking where this went, because I think if it ended up being like super dark and bleak and depressing, this would be this would have been just completely gut-wrenching, and I don't know if I would be able to widely recommend it as much as I can, knowing that it has those undertones of hopefulness to it. I love every single thing about this book. I can't think of a single thing that I would have changed. This was perfect. This is perfect. Please go read this book. I mean, this is just completely stunning, and I'm absolutely obsessed. I don't even know what else to say. I just think that this took the topic of death and dying and turned it into something so beautiful. So please go read this book. I'm like about to cry just thinking about it. This book just like touched me so much. Thank you, Chris. I would have never read this book if it wasn't for Chris. See, I love these little videos that I'm making where my friends pick my books, because now I can like actually pick up things that I wouldn't typically read on my own, and I love that. Like, this is such a fun series. This is such a good idea. Hello. I am not very slay right now. I am in my headache coma era situation. I don't know what is going on with me, and my freaking coffee has been giving me a panic attack today. Like, I don't know, I've been drinking half calf, and normally I do okay with half calf, and today it's like I'm full body tremoring and like so anxious. I'm like, now I can't even drink half calf. Like, what the fuck? Okay, this hair is not working out right now. I think I'm having an existential crisis again. I love my comments that are like, I hate your constant hair touching. I don't, like, why don't you suck my fucking dick? Like, listen, first of all, I want you to have a thick mess of mop on your head and try not to touch it. And second of all, I'd like to see you start a YouTube channel, and then I'll pick out all of your nervous little anxious tics that you do throughout the day. I'm just gonna pick them out and like remind you of them over and over and over and over again. Like, get a fucking life. Find something else to be mad about, okay? Anyways, so this was Chris's 5-star prediction for me. I got to page 105 and like, I'm not really vibing with this. I don't really know exactly why you thought that this would be 5 stars from me, because I don't know. So we're following this girl, this teenager, like she's in the foster care system. She ages out of the foster care system and gets a job working at this farmhouse. and basically she's helping like be a teacher for the one boy that lives there. It's kind of like a foster care farmhouse situation, I guess. Honestly, I'm kind of confused. This is like a YA book and I'm a little bit confused because I have issues with the writing so far. Like, things aren't fully developed. I feel like our main character is not fully developed. There's a lot of names being thrown around for like the other kids that live there and like the adults that are there, and everything is just kind of thrown at you and like nothing is really explained. So we're following her as she's teaching this like 9-year-old boy named Lee, and they start, you know, they develop this bond and start like opening up to one another, and it's like this exploration of her relationship with this little boy. And like that's what this book is about, I guess. There are like ghosts. I don't know. She can see ghosts. I don't really know what the situation is with the ghosts yet. I think they're like they like represent trauma or something. I don't know. We really don't know what's going on with that yet. But that's it. I just don't feel like our main character is fully developed enough for me to care about her. All these names being thrown out do nothing for me. Like, I don't know. It's just like something about the writing style is just not working for me. I know a lot of people love this book. Like, Chris loves this book. Some of my other friends love this book on Patreon. And like, I get it. You know, not every book is going to have the same like punch or impact for everyone. But yeah. I don't know. A lot of people said that this is sad, but for me, I just need to be like fully invested in our main character from the get-go for me to care. So I like something to happen in the beginning of the book that just makes me, you know, feel something for the main character. And like, I just feel like that didn't happen in this one. And I'm, you know, it's only 260 pages. I'm like almost halfway and I'm kind of like, oh, this is it? Like, nothing has happened. I don't know. And this farmhouse is giving cult, okay? This farmhouse is weird. This farmhouse is giving cult-like energy. But I don't think anything goes there. Like, I don't think that actually happens. So I've kind of lost all hope. I haven't lost all hope. We'll see. We'll see if it gets better for me. But like, I just don't have high expectations with the way that I've been feeling so far. Finishing Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. This was super short, like quick, easy read. I finished it in like 2 days. This one I did not like. Chris thought that I would give this one 5 stars and I'm leaning towards like a 2. You know, we start learning about her backstory with her mom especially, and kind of learning a little bit where she's coming from, and then she keeps seeing these ghosts around the farmhouse, and like some people see the ghosts and you kind of learn what the ghosts are and who they are, etc. I don't want to give anything away because it's a super short book, but I just did not feel connected to this main character. It was very boring to me, I think. It was like, I made dinner and then I taught Lee and then I went into the supply closet and then I cleaned up, and then I'm like, what are, like, for such a short book, I just felt like it wasn't as developed as it could have been. I just did not feel like there was much character development. Like, even still, I loved learning about her backstory and what happened with her mother, and like that was the part of the book that was super strong for me that I really enjoyed. But then when it came to everything else, I was kind of like, I still don't really feel like I know that much about this girl. We didn't really know much about anyone else in the book at all. It was just like this name being thrown out. It took me a while to realize like who was a child and who was an adult. I just felt like there was no differentiating characteristics about these characters. And I just felt, I don't know, I did not feel connected. I typically don't feel connected to books involving children, especially like this is more of a YA book, so maybe that's why. I don't know, I just could not get into the writing. I felt like I never fully got into the writing. I was bored because I didn't really care about the characters, and that's all that it boiled down to, really. It just didn't affect me. Listen, I like sad books, but not like this, okay? I like adult woman is sad and lonely and talking to herself. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there were some things and some parts of the book that I enjoyed, but overall this was a flop for me. I'm so sorry, Chris. He thought I would give this 5 stars. I'm giving it 2 stars. Just not for me. And I know a lot of people love this book. It has a lot of great reviews on Goodreads, but sadly missed the mark for me. And then I started The Vegetarian. So today I went to the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, and it was fun. Like, it was fun. It was cute. They had a lot of cool stuff. I got a taxidermy pigeon. I got a taxidermy tortoise in a little terrarium. I'll pop pictures here. They're in the bedroom. But yeah, I mean, there were so many people there, like so many people to the point where you could not move, and everyone was so rude and like cutting you off, and then they stand in front of you and then they're cutting you off again, and then I'm like bumping into people. It was just too much, too many people. I don't do well in crowds. I have panic attacks, so I was just kind of like suffering. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that was that. I'm like scared that I'm gonna get COVID now. I ended up not getting sick. When I thought I was getting sick, it ended up being an endometriosis flare, which has been really bad lately. So yeah, that was that, but now I'm like scared. I'm like, oh my god, I really hope I don't get COVID. Anyways, I had some time to read in the car, so I started The Vegetarian. Now this is the one that Chris said in his video that this would probably be 3 stars, and then he's been DMing me that this will probably be 1 star for me, that he expects me to hate this. So I'm like, I was scared to start this one. But I got 42 pages in this morning, and I don't know, I like it. It's weird. It's definitely like a weird girl book. So we're following this woman who's been having nightmares, and then like her nightmares made her become a vegetarian, and her husband is just a piece of shit, and we're following from the husband's perspective, and like the way that he views his wife, he's just so disgusting. He's constantly making comments about her appearance, about her personality, like he's constantly making misogynistic comments, and it's just, he's so awful and disgusting. And his wife is like, oh no, I have to be a vegetarian now because I had a dream. That's basically it. And we're kind of just following her like downward spiral, and like she's just acting very strange, saying very strange things. Now that she hasn't been eating meat, she's like barely eating anything at all. She's basically skin and bones, like, and we're just so we're following their marriage and their relationship, and it just steadily gets worse and worse and worse. And I hear that this gets really disturbing and really horrific. So I'm scared. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I like it so far. It's very weird. I don't know what is going on. Like, it's just her kind of trying to be independent and make her own decisions and kind of rebel, and you know, her husband is very controlling, and he's trying to take his control back, and he's trying to get her family to join him, and you know, it's just an exploration of this power dynamic, and I don't know, I like it so far. Chris said the first 2 chapters I might not like, but that I'll probably really like the last one, I believe he said. But so far I'm almost done with chapter 1 and I like it. So this is a good sign, fingers crossed. I know a lot of people hate this book, a lot of people love this book, so I'm interested in seeing where I'll fall, but like so far so good. I don't know, it's weird, it's fucked up, it's unhinged, I don't know, I'm into it. Oh my god, I just stubbed my toe so freaking bad. Ah! Okay, so it's Sunday. It's the next day. I got to the end of part 2 of this book. So it's kind of told in 3 parts. I know I said it's told from the husband's POV, but that was part 1. So part 1 ended, like things escalated really quickly. It got really like graphic, disturbing, really fucked up at the end of part 1. But I really liked, I don't know, I liked part 1. It was weird, unhinged, and like very, very disturbing. And now we got to part 2, which was told from the perspective of her brother-in-law, who is another horrible, disgusting man. He sexualizes our female protagonist, and this is told sometime in the future. I think it's like 2 years later, I believe. So, you know, we are getting, you know, his perspective and how he feels about her, mainly sexually. It's very disgusting, it's disturbing, it's nauseating, and we just kind of see that our female protagonist is like not all there anymore, and like the things that she just kind of lets go on because she is very absent, I guess you could say. You know, and it's very, I don't know, it was very graphic, part 2, and I was not a fan. Like, not only that, it was just boring in general, and I think because we want to know more, like we want to know more about this woman and like what's going on with her, but we're not getting that because the POVs are not exploring her with depth or exploring her depth. They're just seeing like superficial things about her, like her husband is concerned with his own image and his own disgusting thoughts about his wife, and then the brother-in-law is just concerned with his own sexual desires, and like no one is digging deep enough. So because this book is told from their POVs, we're not getting a whole lot of depth from this woman yet. So I just got to part 3, and Chris told me that part 3 I'm probably really going to love, and it is the POV from her sister. So I'm actually really excited to finally get a female POV. Hopefully this will save this book for me, because I really did like part 1. Part 2 I wasn't a big fan of, and Chris was like, oh, you're probably just gonna like hate part 2, but just try to push through because you're gonna probably love part 3. So I'm excited to learn the sister's POV, hopefully learn more about our protagonist, and then I will get back to you. Right now this is probably looking like a 3-star, but we'll see. It could be a 4-star depending if I like really love the rest of this book. So there's like 80 pages left. I'm hoping I can finish this today, maybe like tomorrow morning at the latest. I have some cleaning to do, so we'll see how far I get. Super quick, because it's Monday morning, I just started work, I just got my period, whatever. There is a giant bug on the ceiling up above me, and now I'm fucking traumatized. Just another manic Monday. Fuck life right now. I finished The Vegetarian this morning, and I really liked part 3. Chris was right. I really liked part 3. I think that was the strongest part of this book, hearing the sister's POV and perspective of things, and like how she views her sister, and really like how she's the only one that loves her sister. And we start learning a little bit more of what our female protagonist is going through, and I won't give anything away, but I think, you know, learning a little bit more about her and about their relationship and some of the things that they've gone through, like in their childhood and such, really was the strong point of this book. I still kind of feel like at the end, like it ended and it's kind of open-ended, and I kind of just felt like okay, like I see what this book was trying to do. I see how, I'm gonna keep looking at that bug, oh my god. I see how like not giving her a voice in this book and was definitely intentional, because it's showing, you know, that she really never had a voice, and that, you know, everything about her life has just been like perspectives of other people and how other people view her, and like it really puts into perspective you know, even in real life, women, you know, how women are viewed in society and how everyone just has like their own perspective and view on who we are as people. Like, someone watching this might absolutely love me and think that I'm a really great, nice human, and another person watching this will comment down below how I am an awful, awful, disgusting scumbag who needs to go to school because I don't know how to speak or whatever. You know, it's like everyone has totally different perspectives of us and motives, and I think, you know, making her not have a voice definitely made this an interesting reading experience. And I see what this was trying to do in terms with, like, you know, commentary on the patriarchy and how, like, men have a choice and women don't, and lots of commentary about that, but also lots of commentary about mental health and eating disorders. Lots of stuff about eating disorders in this book, and also sexual assault. That was the part that I was like cringing, like I wanted to throw up. Definitely be aware going into this book. It's not an easy book to read by any means. And I definitely see what it was trying to do. It was just, I don't know, like the overall story, I was kind of like, okay, like I see what I was trying to do. I wasn't like completely obsessed or gripped with the story at any point, and parts of it kind of put me to sleep. So I ended up going with like 3.5. So exactly what Chris originally said in his video. So yeah, this one he was spot on. The other three he was a little bit off, but yeah, definitely Collective Regrets of Clover was my favorite. This might actually have been my second favorite, then Ghost Music, then Watch Over Me. So yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching this video if you're still here, and my next one will be with McKay Watson. Literally, I'm reading his book right now. So yeah, that should be interesting. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.